The Bengals have a stadium rights deal. Hi again, everyone, and welcome in to Cincinnati Bengals Talk. I'm James Rapien of allbengals.com, and we knew this was coming. We knew the Bengals were working on a corporate sponsorship to get a stadium rights deal done, and now we have the details. The Bengals announcing on Tuesday morning that Paul Brown Stadium, well, the name is changing. It will now be called Paycor Stadium, and the Bengals staying local. But let's be honest here. Let's get through the corporate stuff, which you can, read statements from Mike Brown and Katie Blackburn and so much more. They're out there. Obviously, I posted them at allbengals.com as well. But what does this mean? This means that the Bengals know that if they're going to continue to compete at a high level and do what they did in 2021 moving forward, well, they're going to have to retain the Joe Burrows, the Jamar Chases, the Tee Higginses of the world. They're going to need some cash flow. And if that means selling the naming rights to Paul Brown Stadium, then they're going to do that. And so that's where you get this Paycor Stadium. And I know people are going to push back and say, well, I'm used to Paul Brown. I saw my guy Willie Lutz said Paycor Brown Stadium, all these things. I get it. I understand it. This is the stadium that a lot of you either grew up with or have known, or let's be honest, it's the exclusive Bengals stadium, right? There was a lot that went into it. But the fact that they were willing to do this, I think it's pretty damn encouraging about the future of your Cincinnati Bengals. And that's where I want to take it. That's my thought process, because a mid-market team, and I don't say small market, I think that's nonsense, a mid-market team that doesn't necessarily have the cash flow that some of these other ownership groups or owners have, well, they're going to have to do the things needed to get that cash flow to do what? Pay Joe Burrow, pay Jamar Chase, make sure the indoor facility is up to stuff, make sure that they can compete and not compete, but kick the tail of everybody else. And so this was the next step. We saw the Kettering Health practice fields. We saw on Monday, and I didn't say this on the channel but we did talk about it on Locked On Bengals. I didn't say it here on CBT. But the Alta Fiber gate, like they have naming rights to the different gates now. And so they're working on modernizing it. But also, I think the Bengals are much more appealing this year than they were last year or 3 years ago or 5 years ago, or even when they were really, really good from 2011 to 2015. And so that's the part of it. It goes hand in hand. It just makes a ton of sense. And I think that this is exactly what they should have done. Now, do I love the name? No, but most of these corporate names, you're not going to, Fifth Third Arena. Well, that's not necessarily great, but it works. Paycor Stadium works. I think there's certainly worse stadium names. And the Bengals stay local, so I'm sure they'll get some points for that. But ultimately, I think it's good because let's cut through the crap. Like I said, do you want to keep Joe Burrow or not? Do you want to keep Jamar Chase or not? What about Tee Higgins? You like those guys? Speaking of those guys, we got highlights coming. And these highlights were so good. Andrew took a little extra time. We got highlights coming from Monday's practice. Those will be released later today, Tuesday, probably early Tuesday afternoon. But, it's wild times. It's good times. And it's another sign that things are changing at Paul Brown Stadium. For years and years and years, the drum that I would hammer is the free agency part of it. Right. And people would hammer them for, the scouting. People would hammer them for the size of the coaching staff. People would hammer them for, Zach Taylor's hired 2 new offensive assistants this offseason. They're getting an indoor practice facility, a temporary one, and then eventually there'll be a permanent one really close to the practice fields across from Paul Brown Stadium. They have a naming rights deal. They're doing all of these things. And, man, I just called it PBS. It's no longer PBS. Paycor Stadium, PS, practice squad, from PBS to practice squad. We'll work on the name. But, yeah, Paycor Stadium, that's what it's called. The Bengals going to go through some branding and rebranding stuff in the stadium and throughout the stadium over the next month and a half, and probably coming months. But I know they're going to have an announcement party type thing, an unveiling, so to speak, between now and the start of the regular season. So what do you think about the name? Are you really bummed that it's no longer Paul Brown Stadium? To me, I like the idea of Cincinnati Bengals Talk Stadium. It just, the negotiations broke down right at the end there. Paycor Stadium it is. And you know what else that means? That Joe Burrow more likely to be around, Jamar Chase more likely to be around, Tee Higgins, etc. So to me, it's a good thing. But what do you think? Leave a comment below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, because anytime there's breaking news or training camp news, we're going to have you covered all throughout the season right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. And we have a huge announcement coming Thursday night. Huge. So buckle up for that one. We may even go live for that one. So for Andrew Fox Miller, I'm James Rapien, signing off for now. Man, saying Paycor Stadium in my stand-ups is going to take some time getting used to. We'll try that out on Friday when we're at the preseason game. Until then, I'm James Rapien, signing off for now right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk.